As we approach the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, different permutations and data analysis continue to surface. The latest is a comparison of the 1979 election and that of 2019. According to Osita, Chidoka, the Southwest witnessed the highest decline of the vote shared from 25% to 10%, followed by the Southeast from 13% to 8%, which is a 10% and 5% decrease. The Northwest saw a 7% increase, North Central about 5%, Northeast a little over 2% increase, and less than a 1% increase in the South-South. Joining us now from Abuja on various permutations and data analysis ahead of the 2023 election in Nigeria is Osita Chidoka, Nigeria's former Minister of Aviation. Good morning and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning to you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us, Osita Chidoka. Quickly, you were quoted as having argued in a piece titled Winning Nigeria's Presidency, the Rule of Four, that for you to be able to win the presidency in 2023, you will need to win in at least 4 zones. You compared this to what happened in the 1979 general elections. Even if in the 1979 general elections, we did not have 6 geopolitical zones as we have now. Is your own argument about the rule of 4 based on a poll, or this is just based on your own, theoretical calculations?
First of all, it's not based on a poll, and it's based on certain assumptions. The number one assumption is that the beavers will work and that votes will count. So what we have seen in the past few days, as revealed by the CUPP, is a major challenge to that assumption. If votes will not count, if people will rig the election, if false names will be uploaded to the beavers, then this whole assumption collapses. So the first thing to say here is that the 1979 election kind of mirrors what is going to happen in the 2023 election, in that there are 4 candidates running. So that's why people drew that comparison. And I went into the records to look at the voting pattern. And what is significant is that there's a lot of similarities with that election in terms of the candidates, but there are different issues coming up in Nigeria today and different challenges and opportunities. But basically, if you look at 1979, if you look at 1999, if you look at 2003, I skipped 2007 because President Yar'Adua made it clear that that election was greatly flawed. Even the beneficiary of that election said it. So I skipped 2007, I looked at 11, and I looked at 2020, 2015, and 2019. If you look at all that election, the winner of the election always came up with 4 zones. But let me tell you what is significant about the 4 zones. If you look at the Nigerian electoral rules that said you will have to win the majority of votes and 25% of the votes cast in at least 2/3 of the states. So that brings you to 24 states. 24 states mean that you have to win in 6 states in 4 zones. You have to win 25% in 24 states. And that 24 states already takes you to 4 geopolitical zones. So it's not even a rule of the thumb. It is part of the electoral rules that you have to get 25% in these 4 states. Now, the combination that can give you 25% is that you either win all of the southern states, that will give you 17 states. If you win all of the southern states, if you win 25% in all the southern states, that gives you 17. So then you need 7 states in the north, meaning you have to win the north central, 6 states, that will bring you to 23, and then 1 state in the northeast or northwest. On the other hand, if you win in the northwest, the 7 states, that will bring you to 24. So to meet the 25% threshold, you need to be competitive in 4 zones. So if you look at President Shagari, he was competitive across the 4 zones. There were 2 zones where he didn't do well, southwest and southeast, Chief Awolowo and the Nnamdi Azikiwe zone. So in both zones, averaging of over 80-something%, 88 in the southwest and 84 in the Southeast voted for MPP and UPN. But Shagari continued to win even when he struggled in the North. He averaged 47%. But that averaging of 47% because of Waziri Ibrahim and Aminu Kanu kept him all the way down to Benue, where he won, Kwara, where he won, and down to Rivers and Cross Rivers, where he won. So the candidate that is competitive across the zones is a candidate that is likely to win the election. That is why the rule of 4 is not just a mathematical number, but it's first of all predicated on 24 states, which you need to have 25% in to be able to be president. And then if you then break the election at that cycle, nobody makes this, then we go for runoff, where simple majority will count. So, but before you get to that runoff point, anybody that is coming second in every zone is a candidate to watch, because that candidate makes 25% across the 24 states, and if you're not careful, it makes plurality of vote. Why is plurality of vote possible for the person coming second? If you win in the Northwest, that is a 19 million voter registration strength. It's about 20-something million now. So when you win, if there are 50%, 40% turnout, and you make about 25% of that vote, it's significant vote numbers. And then if you do that in the Northeast, it's significant vote numbers. In the Southeast, due to low voter turnout, and which I hope will change in this election, even if you win like Zeke did, all the votes in the Southeast at 80%, it's still not significant enough to shift the dial. The Southwest has progressively declined for reasons I'm yet investigating, even if you win 84% like Awolowo. But if you look at Obasanjo in 1979, Obasanjo won in 5 zones, minus Southwest, and he averaged 22% in the Southwest, and he still became president. In 2003, he constructed a new coalition, 90% voter win in the Southwest, 80%, 68% in the Southeast, and about 90% in the South-South with the North Central. And Adamawa, he won the presidential election. So, and Buhari tried everything in the North to win. It didn't work until he got Northeast, Northwest, and became competitive in the North Central, and then he won the Southwest. So that gave him the push over to become president. One of the interesting facts, fun facts from this analysis is that nobody has been president of Nigeria without winning the North Central. I don't know what we'll make of that, but all the permutations that have made anybody president included the North Central. So Obasanjo lost Northeast and Northwest, he became president. Buhari lost Southeast and Southwest, he became president. Southeast and South-South, he became president. So 2 zones can go, but anybody that is competitive in 4 and possibly wins, and then if you are coming from the southern side, then your voter turnout will have to be extremely high. That was why Jonathan and Obasanjo in 2011 and 2003 had vote share of 90% and above in the South-South and in the Southeast and parts of the Southwest. In fact, in 2011, Jonathan had 98% in the Southeast share of votes. And then voter turnout was high. It was almost at 50-something%. So if you look at Rivers State in 2015, in 2011, voter turnout were extremely high. But if you don't have that high voter turnout, then you have, as of necessity, must be competitive in the Northeast and Northwest, where an average of 30-35% will give you significant votes to balance your presence in the Southeast and South-South.
I want to ask you, supposing the elections were held today, who would win? Given what you've just said about the North Central, which we have agreed, traditionally has the swing states. But this time around, it might be the Northwest that will really be the battleground. Just which of the main 4, if that's all that's what you think, have the best chance, according to your analysis?
So if you look at the elections that is going on now, I need us to go back to my first premise. The elections have to be free and fair. The voting has to be done. And I raised the alarm about some months ago. There is need for INEC to have a third-party validation of their technology process. Now, what has happened and what Ugochinyere Ikenga has revealed is that people have been able to load into the INEC system photographs that were snapped from passports, from calendars, names that were imported from different countries and have brought them into the INEC register. INEC has also come out to say that we're cleaning up our register. About 1.something million people will be removed from that register. So meaning that there is a consensus that there is a problem with the registration system in the INEC. And why is that a problem? Why am I prefacing my predictions with that? So long as there is the possibility that people can upload accredited voters without an accreditation, proper accreditation happening, then it puts all the elections in the air. So fundamentally, we need INEC to appoint one of the 4 leading consulting firms in Nigeria to do a review of INEC system. I cited them the example of Belgium, where PwC did the assessment of the system to ensure that it meets the standards and it has integrity. So we need INEC to subject their system to a third-party evaluation. I'm making that call again because the information released by the CUPP is very disturbing. People are increasingly believing that the system is free and fair, that that system has integrity, and that their votes will count. If people think their votes will not count, then we will not have this number of people saying that they will vote. So fundamentally, INEC has to do a review of the BVAS system. The attempts to use the courts to stall the use of BVAS, as we have seen in Imo, with the suit filed in Imo, and the suits filed, other suits filed so far to frustrate the election, must be immediately renounced by the judiciary. The judiciary must show clear statements that this is not an acceptable behavior. A law has been passed. People are going to go and use the technology platforms of INEC. Now, having said that and sounding this note of caution and warning, I must also point out that eternal vigilance is the key to the election. Because the party agents of the political party on the polling unit day must of necessity look at the BVAS and the accreditation being done by the hour. It is accredit and vote. So at every point in time, the people in the polling unit must agree that the number that are accredited is equals the number that has voted. Now, when they are filling in the result, which is the genius of the BVAS does not enter results into the BVAS. The BVAS snaps a copy of the result, meaning that the agents of the political parties will have signed off on number accredited and number of people that voted and the result from each party. So the agents of the political party has to be clear about what they are signing. The BVAS does not enter results, so you can't go and hack it and change the figures. But the BVAS electronically accredits, so you can change the number of people accredited so that if an INEC officer has been compromised and he brings a fake result sheet or he rewrites a result, then at the point of collation, the people are bound to accept it because it will tally with the number of accreditation on the BVAS. So this is a significant moment for the political parties to insist, and my party, the PDP, is insisting on that. Third-party verification, adherence to the process to make sure that agents sign on the Form EC8A. And when they snap that Form EC8A, we will be ready. We will have done the technological work, and we are doing it in the PDP, to make sure that by the time we get to EC8B, we have clear picture of number of accreditation done in all the polling units. So this is significant. If it is not done so, then all these predictions we are making, even the opinion polls will come to naught, because people can easily upload figures as accreditation, use fake result sheets to write, and INEC is bound to accept the accreditation done by their BVAS according to their business rules, that must be accepted. So if I look at the elections as it is today, I will tell everybody to wait for the campaigns before you can conduct fresh opinion polls and you can start making predictions. Why is that so? Campaigns alter. The number of people who are undecided across all the areas are quite high.
As with every polls and analysis,
yes,
they are always skewed towards partisanship. You are a member of the PDP, so I'm not surprised that you're saying the PDP is in a strong position. And we must have to reiterate that that's based on your opinion. There's no empirical, and I like the fact that you said they are just your assumptions. But also in assumptions in permutation, there's also something called scenario planning and outlier effects. What do you think is going to be the outlier effect, in this election? And the outlier effect nullifies any vagaries of partisanship. Outlier effect, worst case scenarios in these elections. And also, I want you to speak to this. I did say this to an ex-INEC official, that there's also a need for a portal, incident reportage portal, that INEC needs to have on those, in different polling units on that election day. There should be a streamlined portal system where they report incidents. I don't know what your thoughts are as regards this, because INEC say they have a channel where you can call them up or they take things from Facebook. And I say that's not empirical enough, because I can post a fake video that is not timestamp verified and say it's an incident, and it might be something that happened in Kenya in 2011. Your reactions to these two things? Yes.
It's significant that INEC should have a incident reporting portal. I will start from that. But beyond the incident reporting portal, there are 3 steps to the INEC system that must be resolved. So the Form EC8 are all uploaded into the system from all the polling units in Nigeria, and that's significant. But if you look at the Form EC8As, there is an importance that Form EC8B, the collation points, are also reported. So I think that INEC must of necessity report the Form EC8B, upload it into their system. But that said, I will point out that the outlier effect you are talking about in election is what I said will happen with the campaigns. But if you look at the scenarios, there are immutable facts with the scenario. Number one immutable fact is the fact that elections in Nigeria have requirements, 25% in 24 states, so you must meet it. And they have the number of majority of votes cast, then you must meet it. So these are 2 obstacles to becoming president. So whatever the outlier effect is that there are significant shifts in voting pattern in Nigeria. There are significant shifts in the behavior of people in Nigeria. So that significant shift is to the extent that the 2 political parties have been woken up, and I'm happy with what is happening. They need to wake up to the reality that elections in Nigerians have changed, and that change in election means that the political parties have to come out with new ways of reaching the middle class and reaching the urban people. Now, the rural Nigeria is going to vote too, and that rural Nigeria is a different ball game from urban Nigeria. So it's significant. It will be interesting to see how rural Nigeria versus urban Nigeria will vote in the 2023 elections.
You know that the coalition of political parties, the CUPP, they've issued a statement saying that there are plans, or rather that the CUPP has intercepted intelligence indicating that BVAS, there are plans to stop it from being applied in the 2023 general elections. Another NGO, HEDA, is raising questions about the use of BVAS in the Osun polls. Then there's the other factor of insecurity in parts of the country. How important do you think all of these are, with regard to your own permutations?
So that's why I started my conversation by talking about, I started the conversations about talking about the importance of the BVAS, the importance of the BVAS as critical to every assumptions we're making about the election. Yes. The BVAS is critical to that conversation. And if the BVAS is in any way breached by the political parties, by any political party, by politicians, then it makes nonsense of these permutations. The issue of runoff in the election is significant, it's been discussed, and I think that if the runoff to the elections, if there were a runoff in the election, it will, I don't want to make that clear prediction now, but it will mean that no candidate met the 24th threshold, and the candidate that met it did not meet the threshold of majority of votes. So the candidate with the majority of votes and the candidate with the 24 states who comes second will go in for a runoff. That for me is going to be an interesting scenario. But the most important part of that scenario is the fact that it is difficult for the APC and PDP not to meet the 24 state threshold. They will meet it. And by the virtue of the voting strength in the Northeast and the Northwest, if they vote for the candidate of PDP or the APC, and I think they will vote most likely for the PDP, he will meet the majority of votes. So I do not see the runoff as a likely scenario. But in the event it happens between the PDP and any other party that comes second, I think the PDP will win the election.
Right, well, that's really confident. I'm quite taken aback by that, actually. Anything could happen. The election is still next year, especially when you still have, disgruntled PDP members. And that leads me to my question about the meeting with the Southwest members of PDP and the presidential candidate, during which that call for your national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, to resign was re-echoed. And your presidential candidate did not dismiss it out of hand. What's your reaction to this latest development?
Well, my reaction is the reaction of the presidential candidate of the PDP, that the PDP rules are there. So when the rules are there, how to remove a chairman and who takes over when the chairman is removed. So trying to cure the problem of candidacy, trying to cure the problem of a Northerner being the chairman will not be cured by just removing the chairman, because the deputy chairman takes over. So I think that the significant error of electing a chairman from the North has been made at the time it was made, because we had the Southern chairman and we all pushed to get a Northern chairman and we got one. So immediately after the elections, I'm sure PDP will have a convention and rezone its party offices, because you can't remove only the chairman without removing the secretary. The secretary has to go back to the North. Once you remove the secretary, you have to also remove the national organizing secretary. So there is a whole change that will happen once you make that shift in the structure of the PDP. So I think that what is significant now is for us to head to the elections and begin the process of a convention to effect changes in the party structure once the elections are over.
Okay, thank you very much, Osita Chidoka. I'm sure there will be more permutations, more predictions, and other shades of analysis as the campaigns begin on September 28th. Thank you very much indeed. This time.